So we are here at the Goetheanum, which is a large conference and research center near Basel in Switzerland. We do lots of seminars, larger conferences, and therefore have lots of smaller buildings for different workshops. But our main focus is the large stage, where we do conferences up to 1,000 people. We needed a way to connect all of the buildings together, to get the video together, to get the sound together. Because we already had our Dante solution for our audio network, we wanted to find something that was similar, IP-based over the network that we could quickly implement into our existing system. So right away, of course, we came upon BirdDog. First implemented one P200 camera as a test, and it was so successful. It worked very, very well for our live streams. We then got the package with 3 P200 cameras and keyboard. Got the task to build a dedicated studio where we could do all of our Zoom sessions for the board. We wanted to have a room where we could also do our live streaming with hybrid, where half people were here and a few hundred people online. And then we also wanted to be able to have the capability to be flexible, so we could use a room for multiple purposes. And therefore we have the P200 flex cameras up on scissors. So we have where we can quickly bring the cameras down or orientate them depending on if it's a lecture or if it's an interview session with 3 or 4 people. We can quickly change the room, and with the flexibility of the flexes, maybe that's why they're called the flexes, but with the flexes we're able to quickly get in our computers, whether it's a PowerPoint or if people are coming from a remote, we could quickly add them into our video network and grab their feeds and bring them into our live video mix. As with any installation, we've found ways we can improve. And one of the main ones is to get some more fixed P200 cameras on our network, which can be installed in any of our workshop rooms. And the second larger project is in our main auditorium, where we have lots of performances which are low light, we have lots of concerts which are also low light, and conferences or lectures which also are not always very well lit. And so because of the advantages of the P4K in low light situations, we're looking at implementing those in the next year or two. And who knows, the next couple of years, who knows what new possibilities or new technologies will be out there. But we've been very happy with the IP and NDI solutions, and with BirdDog, it's been a really, really good solution for us. So we're very happy.
Well, it is that time again, everybody. Hope you are doing well. My name is BirdDog John, and I am back in action.
In those scenarios, it's good to neuralize the cameras. You guys know that best.
Very straightforward. Plug it in, go to the web UI, link the source, walk away. You know, like super simple. I keep looking over at the chat, and I keep seeing you are full of it. Tasty, spicy meat snacks. Covered in flavor. I mean, you can't go wrong. So what's going on? We've got a handful of folks here in the chat, and I really appreciate that. What's up, mate? Hey, Warren, how are you? Appreciate it. Hey, Robbie, how's it going, man? You're just talking about you. What's going on, Tom? Ahoy. How is it going? What's going on, GoWeb? Good to see you again. Thanks for hanging out with us again today. Appreciate that. Feel like I'm in this video more than anyone but John. It's true, NetApp. You are, I'm going to cut this up and put this in the next intro. What's going on, everybody? I am BirdDog John. Welcome back to another exciting hour. And by request, we're going to talk about the new available beta that is out for Sil2. So we've had several, I won't say soft launches, but alpha launches that we've been kind of made aware we've been using over the past little while. And now there is an official one up on the website. So I believe it's Sil2 Beta 25, if I'm not mistaken, because that's the one that I've had my hands on for a few days. And been kind of messing with it on a PF120. So it's been a bit of a journey. trying to get to this stage, but we are actually there. And I think last week, what day is it? It's Tuesday. So last week I attempted to do the update on the PF120, and that ended poorly. And so I investigated a bit on Friday, sorted out what I had done wrong, and then now I have it up and running on another PF120 that's here in the office. Not because I had issues with the previous PF120, which is the one over here, but I didn't necessarily want to use one of my 3 cameras that I have in this studio to do this little project. So we are going to have a little look through some of the options. Now, a little spoiler alert for those of you who are waiting to... Oh, and you know what I probably should do is jump over to YouTube and just make sure that this is functioning. Yeah, okay, we're all good there. Let me know how the audio sounds on your side. But so far, so good. It appears to be working here. So, so I might have to help you troubleshoot your system if you're having issues hearing the show. But anyways, we're going to just go through. The Silicon 2 update is actually pretty straightforward. There's very little in terms of like how you can, I won't say mess it up, but it's fairly straightforward as to what it does. And so we will talk about each of those options and depending on when you might want to employ certain types of formats. But yeah, we'll go from there. Get some stuff in the chat. Hey, first comment. What's going on, Randy? My friend from Winnipeg, fellow Canadian. Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by. Angus, good morning. Always good to see you. Thanks for coming along. Facebook user says, greetings from Wisconsin. Hey, Facebook user, how's it going? Hopefully you're doing well. Audio is 100%. Hey, I like the sounds of that. I have this. I've actually been really happy with the audio the past like several weeks of this show. And I've got it to a place where I don't have to yell. I don't have to push it too hard. And it seems like it's working pretty well. So I appreciate the confidence on the audio piece. I got my beautiful RE20 EV microphone here, which I absolutely love, as many of you know, and I probably will never go back to using anything else. I had the NTG2 in the studio for a little while, a couple of weeks ago, and it's just a totally different experience. You know, the some guys don't like having microphones on, you know, in the shot, but I feel like for what I do, doesn't really matter too much. So you may also notice as we cycle through the shots here on the playlist that things look a little bit different. So I have changed some of the coloration on the show. If you watch the beginning intro bumper, you know there was like a green light on my desk and there's a blue light over my shoulder. Well, there still is blue over my shoulder, and it kind of is my hair light to some degree. But there's also an actual hair light that gives a little bit of my outline of my shoulders and what have you. But I have changed my background. It's now all blue on this wall. The purple is gone, although I'm not opposed to it. Purple is gone for now. And everything's kind of tuned to look the same. So between the 3 cameras, we should be in good shape. However, NetHab says, you sound great, but your frog skin is gone. So the green is gone for now. The desk light is gone. Because I have 3 LED like RGB lights in this office. So 2 of them are now up over my shoulder, which are up here, and then one of them is on the ground, which gives this like blue light on the wall. So yes, the green is gone. There you go. That's how you can see some of it. So there is a light like right there in the corner. And then there's 2 more that are above me, so you can see the reflection off my band and whatever. I think it gives a pretty good look. I like it. I'm a guy that likes to change things up fairly frequently, so I try and I don't know, hopefully make it better. I've been really happy with the audio recently, so I'm like we're inching towards a better show all the time. So good stuff, you know.
That's pretty neat.
So let's just finish up here. Good morning. What's going on, Montana? Hopefully you're doing well. Thanks for stopping by. We are going to talk a little bit about Silicon 2, and I know that is why all 15 of you are here. I will warn you, I'm pretty... I mean, I'll just put this out there right now. I do feel like this show might be a little underwhelming, just because Silicon 2 is a really cool update, but it's not quite as involved as like it's not as like feature heavy. It's pretty much just enables a few other formats. That's really all it is. And so I will go through that. I will show you, but I'm not. It's not gripping content as far as I'm concerned. I don't think that that's. Yeah, I just need to. I feel like I need to warn you. It's pretty. It's cool, but it's just different outputs is all it is. Now, let's talk about this real briefly and explain why Silicone 2 is a big deal. Because there's a couple irons in the fire that many of you already know about here. But when you approach an NDI workflow, a lot of cameras in the market have a bunch of outputs that they do naturally, and then they charge you for the NDI piece, which is quite a hindrance, I think, when it comes to selling the NDI product. Because if you can do all these other formats for free, and it does SDI and HDMI out, or one or the other, why would you pay for a brand new workflow, right? So BirdDog's approach has been kind of unique in the sense that it gives you the NDI piece up front, and it's the Ferrari version, it's the sports car version of the protocol. It's the full NDI portion of the protocol. So I'm not too sure, and this is really a question for other manufacturers, but I'm not too sure what the purpose of having an NDI protocol integrated in with your camera and then surcharging people to use it, why that makes sense in the marketing world, why you wouldn't include it as a part of, because, a lot of cameras already do RTSP, RTMP, SRT, various other formats. So I'm not 100% sure what the marketing thought process is on charging people additional for the NDI license. Now, to be, full disclosure, when you make an NDI product and you sell it to a customer, you pay an NDI license. Okay, so NewTek, or now NDI.TV, they own the licensing rights to the protocol, and that's how they generate money. Is they sell the license in bulk, in bulk to manufacturers, and we buy the license and implement it into our cameras, and that's the exchange between the inventors of NDI and those of us who are manufacturing cameras for NDI purposes. So that's a little bit about like how the sausage is made. So I get the fact that there's a charge if you are to enable the NDI function on the camera. However, the NDI license is not like a really expensive price. It's actually fairly economical, and especially if you're using it to mass produce cameras or converters or whatever, it's kind of a minimal cost in the grand scheme of things, in like the full cost to produce a product like what we do. So it seems strange to me that you wouldn't just add that into the final price of the camera or device, but instead you run a surcharge for, you want to enable NDI on the camera. It's going to cost you, and in most cases, it's like $1,000, which seems... Oh, yeah, and that's for NDI HX, which is also kind of a slap in the face, because NDI HX is a protocol that you can literally do a firmware update, as we're going to see, and it enables HX on the camera. How convenient. The trade-off is, though, that it's the economic version of NDI, right? It's like I don't know, like it's just like a crappy economical car. Like it just gets you from point A to point B, but it doesn't do it very well. Certainly doesn't do it very fast. And, it's just kind of meh. But they charge you a ridiculous rate. Like I said, I've seen licenses averaging like $600 to $1,000 just to enable it on a halfway decent camera. So it's weird. It's a weird space to be in. And the fact that NDI HX can be enabled with just a firmware update, it's basically software that's encoding it into the protocol, okay? It doesn't require actual silicone to do it. So it's slower. They charge you extra for it. It really doesn't make a great case for using NDI as your workflow. So if you buy a BirdDog product, that's the point, is it's for the NDI protocol, and it's the full NDI protocol. That's the point of buying a BirdDog product. And sometimes people miss that. It's not the only reason why you buy a Bird Dog product. Honestly, the lenses and stuff, the pictures look amazing. It is one of my favorite lenses to work with in terms of coloration. And I dabble in photography and a few other things. And so, but this lens, the P200 in particular, I love messing with that thing because it's, it seems like you can make it look however you want it to look. And the options, there are endless options when it comes to how you set it up. So I really like the P200. I really like the Sony lenses. I feel like they're better than the Panasonics in several ways. And it's just a preference that I have. However, you pay the price for a Bird Dog product, which is comparable, by the way, to many other cameras in the industry that do NDI, okay, whatever flavor that is. So we're in the same ballpark in terms of price, and a few $100s is kind of what I'm talking about here, is give or take. We're in the same ballpark as other NDI cameras, but you get the full version. You don't have to pay the additional $1,000 for the NDI license. So, we're already now talking very similar in terms of price. And you get a great lens and you get a great protocol, and it comes with lots of people around the world that work for the company, fairly halfway decent support department, if I say so myself, and you get 2 free hours on YouTube every week with the support guys. So one of the support guys. So you get a lot when you buy a Bird Dog product, is what I'm trying to say. This isn't really a sales pitch, but I do see the value over other companies. You get a whole lot when it comes to buying an actual Bird Dog product. So Sil2, it basically brings us up to the functions of other cameras in the industry that we haven't, there's been some demand for these protocols, but not a huge amount. But we've prioritized it because it basically puts aside the conversation as to what camera should I buy. Because one of the major drawbacks that we hear is, well, you don't do RTMP, which is a very old protocol, by the way, or RTSP, or you don't do, HX, which again, it's kind of like, I understand why you might want to do HX, but why would you want to do it? And, you don't do these certain protocols that are kind of like SRT, which are kind of out of the box. We expect those for these network-based cameras. And so HQ has prioritized Sil2 to be like, okay, then here you go. Here are the protocols that are most requested. And now we do all of those that our competition does, but we also then do NDI HX and full NDI. And so you can see the differences between why you would want to use full NDI and why you would want to use HX, and so on and so forth. So it's an interesting place to be in. Really excited that Sil2 is in beta launch, because there's been a ton of work, first of all, that's gone into it. So shout out to the engineers for this. A ton of work. But also, as far as I'm concerned, it basically puts the final nail in the coffin, if you will, as to why you would choose something other than Bird Dog. Remember several shows ago, I talked about how Bird Dog is attempting to create a bit of an ecosystem. And if you use Bird Dog products throughout the institution or throughout your installation, and you don't hodgepodge things, things will harmonize with each other. There are some things on the roadmap, which I'm not allowed to talk about yet. There are some things on the roadmap that are doing just that. And this piece of bringing on Sil2 is one of the first steps in that ecosystem finally getting put into place. And so there are big things on the horizon for Bird Dog. I can't talk about any of those yet, but there are big things on the horizon for Bird Dog, and this is one of the first pieces to make that happen. Because if you can do these protocols, then not only do the network-based video over IP stuff, it starts becoming a whole lot more flexible, but also video over the internet becomes a lot more flexible too. And so there are going to be several iterations, I think at least 2, maybe 3 iterations of Sil2 before it's kind of finalized. But we want to get these protocols out and get people starting to use them and make them available for customers to handle. So really excited about this update, and we're going to walk through that in just a second. Let me jump over the chat real quick and kind of finalize some of that. You guys are chatting a little bit, so NDI per device licensing scheme. Yeah, see, it's like the pay per use stuff. It just doesn't like make any. Anyways, I guess I understand it, but I don't understand why that. Why does that make you? Like, to me, charging for the HX protocol on a PTZ entry level camera does not scream to me that you are the natural choice for your institution. You know, like, if you were going to buy a camera for NDI, why would you buy one that it has a base price and then you also have to pay $600 for the license? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you buy a camera that just does NDI? Like, anyway, it's so bizarre to me. RTMP, RTSP, and SRT don't have per device licensing requirements. It's true. They don't. I mean, okay, so fair enough, NetHub. That's why, obviously, those protocols are already enabled. But still, why wouldn't you just work the NDI license into the final cost and just make it available as a feature on the camera? It's so weird. Maybe it was because Panasonic and Sony and these other companies wouldn't adopt it unless they could have a separate charge for it. Greedy mamma jammas. Mevo cameras allow for HX enablement for free, but they report your location. Oh, jeez. That's creepy. Oh, weird. NDI sets the licensing price, not the manufacturer. It's true. They do, but they don't, because you'll notice that NDI licenses vary across various manufacturers. Some are cheaper and some are more expensive, but that license cost is not necessarily what it is you pay for it. My favorite is that it's because it costs us money to integrate it. It's like, not really. I mean, HX it's a piece of software. Anyways, whatever. So the license is more than a Flex or Mini. Crazy. In some cases, yes. I'm here for my weekly dose of Balu. I'll see if he's around. Late joiner here. What's going on, GoWeb? Welcome back. Wait, are there other camera brands? Petra, what's going on? Thanks for jumping on today. I appreciate you. There are other camera brands out there. We don't talk about them, though. Here's a good question for you. Assuming no need for 4K, is there any reason to go with a Flex over a Mini? Well, the Mini's more expensive out of the gates. I think it's $599, $499. I can't remember. But yeah, the Mini is more expensive than the Flex is. The Flex also, you need to know exactly what you want to do. Do you want to encode or decode? Because it won't do both. You have to pick the out or the in, right? But yeah, the Mini has a couple of. So the Mini is obviously built differently. So it's all metal, and it's got a built-in heat sink, so there's no fans. Whereas the Flex has a fan, and it's a polyurethane. It's a plastic cover. It's a plastic case, basically. But it has a really big tally light on it, and it has... The fans are actually pretty quiet, so you don't have to really worry about that too much. But yeah, there's some differences between the two. The Flex, though, will do up to 4K, so if you do anything in the future with that level of need, and the Mini will not. The Mini will be stuck at 1080, so you will need to, if you don't have a need to go up to 4K, then that's a decision, I guess, that you need to kind of cross over. Hey, good morning from New Zealand. What's going on, Jamie? I'm up early to catch a flight. Oh, that's fun. I've had a few of those recently. One time a couple of Mondays ago, a week ago now, I had to wake up at 2 a.m. to catch an Uber at 3 a.m. to get to the airport for a 6 a.m. pushback And then I just drove from the airport to the office because it was 9:15 by the time we landed. So crazy, crazy times. Have a great flight. I have a Panasonic UX180, the successor, the CX350, adds RTSP, SRT, RTMP, etc., plus a licensed NDI-HX. I bought P200s instead. Well, there you go. And with the Silicon 2 update, you're going to get RTSP, RTMP, SRT, etc. So there you go. Frink says your color matching looks great. Oh, thank you. It's weird because this screen that I'm looking at for StreamYard, I think is warmer. The reds are weird. I need to change the coloration here. And that would be why, because there we go. Yeah, way better. So it was on gaming mode because all monitors, stupid monitors, all ship in gaming mode. So now it's just on standard and it looks correct. It was like it was too warm. But anyways, thanks. I think the colors look pretty good. I think they look nice. Now this shot is purposefully all blue. Now there are two blue lights above me now. So instead of one over here on the desk, there's two up there that are both the same hue. And so it gives a little bit more even color. But when we switch back to the P200, then you get blue on the side of my hat and whatever. So there it is over here. So blue on here. It's because there's a couple of lights above me that are both blue. I'm involved in building a new church school, 500 data ports. Oh my goodness, 40 SDI runs. We started planning, I couldn't count on video over IP, so I bought a 12,000. Wait, what? 1694A. Oh my goodness. The building is almost complete. Wow, Randy, that is ridiculous. And now looks like I don't really need this brand new unused RG6 anymore. Well, obviously it's still great for iMac. It is good for iMac. I ran Cat 6 everywhere. Bought lots of 4250s, so we'll be ready for NDI. Nice, well done. In Canada, the price difference is $150. Interesting. Would you compare full NDI to RAW in the still photography world? NDI-HX would be a JPEG? Probably not. It's a fair bit more about latency than it is about it's a fair bit more about latency than it is about picture quality. Okay, because you can compress a picture down and shoot it out at 6 megs and get it on the other side, and the average person isn't going to really notice. But I guess you could say the same about RAW and JPEG, but the average person isn't really going to notice. But when you're sending this level of data and clarity and what have you, and at 140 megs, at 1080p, then you just have to be able to decode it fast enough on the other side. But the latency is minuscule compared to HX, which takes a long time to compress is the wrong word, to manufacture the HX protocol and then ship it across and then unpackage it, decode it again on the other side. This takes a lot of time. And honestly, that's one of the major reasons why we do what we do, is just because it's the fastest way. As far as I'm concerned, I haven't seen video faster over IP than full NDI. And it's a great protocol. This shot is too warm for me. My face is too red here. Yeah, change that. We'll change that in a second. So I guess the more flexible option would be the Flex In and a Play. That would be pretty flexible, yes. And that would be roughly the same price as a Mini. Roughly. Do the 4K quad converters work with QSys plugins? You'd have to check with QSys on that, I guess, because that's a third-party plugin. That's not manufactured by BirdDog. So we don't have like a QSys system here. Actually, we don't have QSys or Crestron or Extron or any of that stuff. A lot of third parties do that integration side of things. So I believe that the QSys stuff runs, like, there is a plugin for QSys for the BirdDog product line. It was pulled down like 6 months ago and then put back up about 3 months ago because there was a big firmware update and everything with NDI 5 and a bunch of stuff. So it was recently put back up, but the API commands are also fully available. So if you just need to call commands, I mean, there's a way to do that just without QSYS at all. A lot of guys we have found, this is interesting, but a lot of guys in the industry, they look at like the QSYS plugin, or they look at the Crestron library plugin, like the library that's up there available, and they read through the code and then they're like, okay, cool, got it. And then they make their own. So a lot of integrators are doing their own version of, whatever it is. So we kind of like host an example, but then guys that are really into integration and do this for a living, they take that information as like reference and they write their own. So I don't know what that means, but that we find that a lot as like people are like, yeah, I saw that, we looked through that and now we're going to write our own module, or like they have their own module, like the company has their own and they punch in their own stuff. So I don't know what that means, but I don't know if Quad it has if I don't know of a use case. Maybe one of the guys in the office can chime in here if QSYS and Quad are cooperating together. I don't know yet, but I know that the API commands are out there for it. So does the Flex DC out work with PoE, or is that strictly if it's just powered from a barrel jack? So the Flex DC out, which is on the Flex in, right? So there's a Flex in and it has a DC output. The Flex in requires PoE plus, but the Flex itself only takes like 12 watts, which means that you have 15.4 watts on that DC out barrel. You will need to make a barrel connector to go out of that into whatever it is that you're powering, but that is there is 15 watts there for you to use. That's being pulled down through the PoE switch. It's kind of crazy. And the idea is to power a screen or something like that, right? That's a whole lot. 1694A. Is there a behind the scenes tour of your studio online? There isn't. I've done it before, but it's kind of underwhelming. It's like a 3-minute. Here's this. Now you're at the end of the tour. Enjoy the rest of your day. Speaking of 4250s, I ordered mine. Ooh, the 4212. Good choice. Love it. The PX is a good one. And some armored fiber to trunk it from my 4212 in a separate rack. Very cool. SMPTE 2110 is RAW. Full NDI is ProRes, and HX is JPEG. Okay, there you go, NetHab. That's okay. Yeah, SMPTE 2110 is, it looks nice. It's just the network requirements are just through the roof. So it's not really tangible for your average guy that's trying to just do video over IP. And that was the whole point, right? Like I've said this speech a bajillion times at this point. NDI was the response to the crazy requirements of SMPTE 2110. And we just didn't do a very good job of saying that when we launched it. Really wish we, as in the NDI industry, I wish we had done better. NDI, MX rules, what's going on, man? NDI equals DNX HD. NDI equals 264, 265. SMPTE is not RAW. SMPTE is 422. Yeah, no, we're just making comparisons. We're not actually getting technical about it. Hey, that's great. Also put Windows 11 on my vMix rack computer and ordered SFP Plus network card for it. Really cool. Awesome. I'm actually down one of my network ports because I was trying to trunk 2 of my switches together this morning in a mad dash to get ready for this show. And I had a support session going on my phone. I had a sales guy talking to me on Teams. I had some tickets I needed to handle. I was out of the office yesterday for a personal reason, and so I was trying to catch up with all this stuff. Oh yeah, and I had a show that I was supposed to be showcasing Silicon 2. So, hey, we should do that. Let's walk through the actual web UI that you guys can see what's going on and what. If you don't want to do the beta, I totally understand, and that's kind of the reason why we do an example here, because don't necessarily want to put your production computers in to some sort of testing beta software. So totally get that. Let's try it out here and see what happens. All right. So nuts! My Seinfeld transition didn't play. So let's go. Let's just do one more time. All right. Hopefully you could hear that. Okay, so down here in the bottom well, it's kind of hard to tell. Okay, the bottom left-hand corner is the P200 that you have been looking at this entire time. But over on the right-hand side is Studio Monitor. We're running a low bandwidth mode on a separate PF120, which is here in front of me on a tripod. So PF120, this camera is the one that I've updated to the latest. And so I'm going to jump over to the dashboard just so you can see. Running firmware 9.4 on this one, and then there's a Sil2 Beta 25, which is, I believe, the one that was posted on the website for beta trial last night. Okay, so this is what you're going to run into if this is what you're doing. Now, this switch is running in multicast, and I do that primarily because I got a lot of signals coming into this switch, and I'm pulling a lot of stuff. And if I don't want to overload my network, then I like to run it all in multicast. Now, 4250s with the NDI5 profile do multicast natively. And so you can turn on multicast on your devices if you're going from single source to multiple destinations. All right. So that's the point of multicast. Unicast is single source to single destination. Multicast is single source to multi destinations, meaning that when a subscription is made to a camera, it's up to the network to duplicate those packets, not up to the single connection between camera and destination. So if we've got 6 or 7 plays that are all watching the same stream, technically you should, well, let's say flex outs for this example, 6 or 7 flex outs, put them in multicast, and then sync them all to the same source. It's only going to carry 140 megs over the network to all of them, instead of creating, if we have 5 flex outs, that's going to be 5 times 140 megs. So it'll overload your network pretty fast. So I'm running in multicast for that reason, basically, because I don't want, if the guy's out in the lobby or somebody in an office pulls up one of these camera feeds, I don't want it to burden the network more than necessary. So here is that PF120, and this is the web UI for it. So we know that we're doing this correctly because we've got baseboard 37 and I'm running on Sil2 Beta 25. And all this stuff is the exact same, other than under the AV setup screen, there is now a secondary option called Sil2 encode. So there's encode settings. This is for the NDI, the full NDI output. And then you have Sil2. And these are now the new options for that stream. So a couple things that you can do. You can, when you first turn this on, it will say disabled. And it will look just like this. And it's going to say, when you want to turn on the secondary output, okay? So the camera will always output full NDI. That's the point. Camera will always output full NDI, and you can pick one additional output to run out of. So it's not going to do everything all at the same time. It's going to let you pick one additional output that you can run. So we can pick here from a list of items. Now in the beta, you have SRT, HX, RTSP, and RTMP. And for today's purposes, we're going to show the NDI HX function. Now, when I select HX, it's going to ask me, what sort of mode do you want this to be in? Now, remember, HX2 is low bandwidth, high latency. And so if I say low, basically an HX2 protocol that we're looking at here, and I can say constant bitrate or I can say variable bitrate. Now, as I'm reading through the literature for this, because HX is kind of new for BirdDog, but as I'm reading through the literature for this, a low mode constant bitrate is going to be basically HX2. Remember, this is not an HX, okay, HX1. This is HX2 or 3. HX3 gives you the flexibility to make a variable bitrate and you to set the bitrate that you want to use. And so that's the point. If we switch it to variable, we're basically turning on a custom stream, which is now HX3. Okay? HX2 is constant, and we can set it to low. And then, as a general rule, I like to hit restart. So give a thumbs up to the camera and then hit restart, and that's going to freeze. It's going to freeze my studio monitor. There we go. Now we're back in action. And now, with any luck, knock on wood, we are going to pull up this, and it will say camera HX. So now we can pull up HX on that camera, and now we can see that HX encode. Nice, nice and latency. Okay, so HX2. So let's change this a bit and see what else we can do. Now, the fact that you can change the quality on these is a little bit strange. I'm always going to suggest that you hit restart when you make a change like this, but just because you want the NDI chip to restart. All right, and in some cases, you may even consider rebooting the whole camera. But anyways, a little bit faster now, eh? Check that out. That's wild. So fair bit faster on medium. And now we can say, well, let's just go straight up to ultra and see what happens. Now this is going to use 50 megs, and this is going to be probably an HX3 encode. Let's go ahead and restart this one more time. Anyways, we have an HX output, and as you can guess, oh, there we go. So now it's pretty much close to my full NDI. It's a little bit slower. And also, well, that might be the play. Let me look here. It's just not as clean. It's like it seems to be maybe like dropping some frames. And I'm not too sure why it doesn't tell me. Maybe this is too, whoa, maybe this is too small? No. Shan't it not tell me what the resolution is? So I think, as I recall, so I'm running 1080p 5994. As I recall from my conversations with the engineers, and don't quote me on this because I'm not 100% sure, as I recall, HX maxes out on this one at 1080p 30 or 2997. Now, I'm a bit surprised that the studio monitor doesn't actually tell me that. I don't know, but I'm a little surprised that studio monitor doesn't tell me that. And you would think it would also be listed here somewhere. So I'll chat with the engineers and see. This is just a beta, so it's not the final form. But yeah, we definitely probably need to know what the actual resolution is for this, for HX protocol. But there it is, man, in the flesh. I mean, HX is working, and the beautiful thing is that if you really want to limit, look, bitrate is 3 megs. I'm going to go ahead and restart. 3 megs. That is ridiculous. So we're going to move around a little bit, wait for studio monitor to come back. There it is. So yeah, crazy talk, but there it is, 3 megs and up and running. So, okay, that's HX. Now, some of these other ones, full disclosure, they are on here, but I can't seem to figure out how to get them to show. One of the things that I need to talk to the engineers about is making this stupidly simple as to how to actually access these items, because it says streaming protocol RTMP, here's the server name, here's the stream key. However, when you go into any service like VLC or vMix, it says enter the URL pathway. Well, I can kind of figure out what the URL pathway is, but it should say inside the web UI, here's what the URL is, just to make it really straightforward for customers to use. Now, I did get the RT, hang on here. I did get, I was fumbling around with some stuff, and I was talking to the QA guy the other day, and he had said, you may have a firewall issue if you can't bring the SRT feed into vMix, but you can bring it into VLC. Of course, when you select SRT, it doesn't really tell you how to connect to it. So SRT gives you 3 options: caller, listener, and rendezvous. So if you select caller on the camera, you need to have listener on vMix, vice versa if it's caller, listener the other way. Or rendezvous is so that you select rendezvous on both. All right. And that enables the ability to for there to be cross communication. But for the life of me, I couldn't get the SRT stream to sort that out. So that's something that I have to actually hash out with the engineers. And as you heard, I didn't really have time this morning to figure that out. However, I was using an SRT stream earlier today and was able, after a direct restart, to get VLC to show me something. And I thought I was pulling something. However, I could also be having a firewall issue because it just showed a black screen. So here, when I select RTSP, one of the things that I had to do is go over here and reboot the camera and give the thumbs up. And then we'll know when it comes back, when my thumb disappears. So I was monkeying around with it, and the RTSP stream inside of VLC that I was using, I can throw this up here. Yoink, want to go to network stream, throw this over here so that you guys can see this. So this is from what I had gathered from the interwebs. This is kind of the idea. And I had taken the key. It says that there's a stream key that goes with it, but there's nowhere inside VLC to enter the stream key. Maybe it's under more options. Edit options, start time, caching. No. So when I enable this, let's just close that. So when I enable this and it rebooted, let's wait for my stream to come back. Oh, you know what? I turned off HX. That's why. So let's go back to cam. There we go. Full NDI is back. So if I hit play on this one, I get a black screen in VLC. So that is actually more than I have ever gotten so far on with the other options inside Silicon 2. Now, forgive me, I haven't played with this to the extent that I probably should have to run a demo, but it would just error out before. Now it seems that this is actually playing back, and I'm wondering if there is a place in here where I got to put the stream key in, the actual password, I guess, so that I can access the actual media stream. It doesn't appear that there is a place to do that, but if you know something I don't about VLC, which is highly likely, please let me know, because I would love to know. All right, let's jump over to the chat because I have neglected you guys so far for quite a while. So let's go up, 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 and take a quick look at where you're at. I just looked it up. The UX 180 takes 20 watts. I guess that won't quite do the trick. Ah, bummer. The network bandwidth gauge is saying 1 to 2%, but your average bitrate is 133 megabits. That math doesn't add up. What are you talking about? That's because no one was subscribed to that stream. That's why there was no network activity. Does that make sense? I was looking at nobody was subscribed to the PF120, the one that was running Silicon 2. So there was no data going across. Data only travels out of a camera when you subscribe to it. And so if you're not subscribing at full NDI, it's not going to show it. Multicast needs to be selected on the camera only, or M4250 as well. So on the 4250, if you're using the NDI5 profile on the latest firmware for that switch, the multicast stuff is already active behind the scenes. And so you can just go to your BirdDog camera, select multicast, and then reboot the device. Hit apply, then reboot the device. And it should start sending multicast packets. Now, be careful with multicast because everything needs to be talking multicast. So there you go. Multicast, great power comes great responsibility. Does SRT support caller and listener? Yes, it does. I do a lot of SRT production. I'm a bit late. What have I missed? Not a whole lot. I was just going through the demo, so you haven't missed a whole lot. You'll have to set up a separate source for those protocols in vMix. Okay, good to know. See, I don't know much about the vMix SRT stuff, so this would be great. Should be the IP address. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I kind of was using, and then that's what it came up with. John, anytime I'm around, I'm happy to offer a functional SRT listener for you to call into the Silicon 2 testing. Very cool. I might just do that. You embedded the stream key into the URL. I did. No. I embedded the stream name into the URL. So the stream name is one of the things that is VLC says that it requires. So on to the, whoops, really? Oh yeah, because I rebooted this. So hope nobody guesses my password. So whoops, AV setup. And then here, there's a stream name. So BD, and then by default, it's just RTSP, and then the port number. So I've included the port number and the stream name because on the VLC website, it says, or the Wikipedia page, it says that you have to add that. So I did. And like I said, it actually comes up with a blank stream, which is cool. We can try it. We can try some variations of this though. Right? Whoops. Let's try some error. See what you did there? See? But if I click on this one, it actually pulls something. I don't see any video, but it pulls something. It's just a big black screen. And it's counting, like it's showing right at the bottom left-hand corner. It shows that the counter is counting up. So something's working there. I just can't see the signal. Now, that could be a firewall issue. That's what one of the engineers is like, you might have an issue with firewall stuff. Which is fair enough, but I want to iron that out before this thing goes live to the public because I know we're going to get questions about it. Enabling like 4 other protocols on a camera. And then people are going to be like, well, how do I integrate it with vMix and yada, 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 yada. I could just see that on the horizon. I know that my support guys are, I would say rolling in their graves, but that implies that they're dead. So maybe just dead inside. I opened the PF120 in Studio Monitor, so the network bandwidth should go up now. And I did have it open at the end of that tutorial. I did have, this is the full NDI stream. But remember, this is running multicast. So if we jump over to dashboard, yeah, 14%. So CPU usage is really high. That might be the Sil2 update generating 2 streams. So try the camera name as the stream key. Try the camera name as the stream key. So back to VLC. Give me an example, GoWeb. There we go. So if I go media, so network stream. So it just says, please enter the network URL. Well, the network URL would be the IP address of the camera plus the port number that it's operating on, which I know that 5556 is open because bird.cloud that's one of my ports for bird.cloud generally. So I know that that's there. But then you think the camera name, PF120-2. So that's probably not what you meant. Now this one is still that one that works, right? So if we double click on it, it is pulling something. It thinks it's pulling something, which is great. It's just not showing me anything. So cool beans there. And if I just do that, that doesn't do it. Let's see, maybe it's a port number. I have to think it through, I guess. I don't know. I mean, so RTMP, let me throw this up on the chat. I mean, so IP address, port number, camera name for RTMP maybe. Okay, so this is RTSP that I'm currently functioning on. Let me go back to the web UI. We're going to go over to, AV setup. That's the one that we want. So we could say RTMP. Let's see what options we have here. So there's a server name now, and there's a stream key name. So I'm going to reboot this camera because if I want to be sure that this new protocol is the one that gets loaded. Again, it should say, right? So if Sil2 is operating in a certain mode, it should say, at least on the dashboard, what it's doing, what mode it's in, and what other format it's outputting. But anyway, there are lots of, HX, pretty straightforward, pretty functional. And, NetHab is chimed in here on this one. So isn't RTMP normally a push? So you put your PC's IP address in as the server? That I don't know. There are no instructions, so your guess is as good as mine. I'm happy to do that. Yeah, let's give that a go. So my computer, whoops. What is going on here? First here. All right, my internal IP address 248. So I'm happy to try whatever you guys want me to try. So Bird Dog server 8, okay. Stream key is BD key. All right, so instead of RTSP, RTMP. So, but do I put the IP address of the camera here? Is that what this is? 252/BD key. Is that what it is? Fail. Clear these. Okay, so no. The answer there is no. That is not the deal. Network stream. There's no port number. Clear. So no. RTMP would be RTMP, IP port number, server, and key. Okay. Well, I can certainly try that. This is such an adventure. But there is no port number listed. See, look. It's not listed. You don't get to pick a port number. So 8080 maybe? Potentially. Server. So then the server would be my computer number? / stream key. Bird dog key. Is that what I said it was? Oh, it didn't fail out right away. Thinking. Oh boy. She's thinking. Usually it fails right away. It may not be 8080. I could change that, I guess. It's certainly trying. All right, let's try that. Let's take the port number out because this probably isn't right. She's still trying. RTMP. Oh, RTMP can do push or pull. Normally, you would create RTMP server input in vMix and point your camera's encoders to it. You can omit the port. It defaults to 1935. It should, anyways. The RTMP protocol defaults to the correct port. You don't need to enter it. Go back to the Sil2 screen for a second. I need to run out to rehearsals in a minute. You don't need to add a port when using RTMP. Okay, so we're all in the same consensus that port number does not need to show. So if we go, I'll go here and back to here is the actual. So RTMP server number, this is my machine. And then stream key is just BD key is all that is. That's just default. So RTMP, this is the camera. And then this is the computer. And then BD key. So what else do we think it could possibly be at this point? That is a pretty hard to look at screen, by the way. Server is just an arbitrary name. It can be anything you set it to. That should work as you have it entered. Well, I think we tried this, but she failed out. Now maybe I've made all these changes and I should restart the camera. Failed. So this says VLC is unable to open yada, yada, yada. Please check the logs for details. Interesting. So, yeah, it's hard to figure out what exactly what I'm doing wrong here. I monkeyed with this for quite a while and thought, like, certainly I'm not that far off, but the fact that there are so few instructions, it makes me assume that it should be pretty obvious how to set it up. But apparently not. I'm going to have a strict chat with engineering on Thursday about, hey, you gotta spell it out for people, especially me. Unless the server is a target it's aiming for. Well, the server is just my computer. That's where VLC is running, right? And now that I think about it, it should only be connected. Yeah, it's just got one network connection, so that's the only IP address it can be. Okay, once again, when I get back from my rehearsal, I will give you an RTMP target to test with, but I have to run. All right, Angus, take it easy, man. If it's pushed, then VLC won't work. Bummer. Try default server name if IP doesn't work. Well, the IP is clearly not working. So let's go back to the web UI. Let's do one more try here. Back to the web UI. Change this to BD server and click off of it. We're going to restart the NDI chip. And then here, right? No, that's the computer. So this one, BD server, play. Fail. Maybe it's not loaded yet. Give it a second, right? Should be loaded. Am I on here? Yeah, I'm on. So it's loaded. So no good. So yeah, that's been the interesting piece so far, and I want to obviously get to a place where I can speak knowledgeably about that. So thankfully, it's just in beta release and is not full on, in public firmware yet. So give my guys a chance to play around with it. I do like the fact that you just turn on HX, you select the bit rate that you want. You can totally do a custom, but a medium HX at 8 megs is pretty good. We're going to restart the chip again. But if we go here, wait for it to come back, restart. Okay, there it is. There's HX right there. And so that's it. I mean, it's functional. It's hard to tell because yeah. And I'm watching a full NDI stream, which is watching the HX on a TV doing a screen capture. Oh, this is so bizarre. But you can totally see the difference between the full NDI, right? Like crazy. So HX is an option if you're looking to lighten the bandwidth and timing is not of an essence for you. Then, yeah, there you go. You can give that a whirl. So my guess is RTMP camera, BirdDog server, stream key, camera IP. All right, let's give it another go. So I'm going to change this to RTMP. I am going to reboot the camera. Yoink. I'm going to go back to VLC, and then let's take Montana's guess and give it a try here. So media, network stream. So RTMP, the camera IP 192.168.1.252 / BD server / BD key. She may not be loaded yet. Nope. currently not loaded. So clear that. Are we up? Not yet. Oh, because this was looking at HX. That's why. Okay, so we are up and running. Now try. And log into this camera to see what's going on. And we got an error. Check the log for details. So try GoWeb's version now. So let's go back here. The GoWeb is suggesting that we try network. So RTMP, BD server, 1935, BD key. No. So let's try, instead of BD server, let's try the IP address. Right? Because that could just be anything, really. So, yoink. Nothing. Well, that's a real bummer. I think you'll have better luck with SRT. I set my cameras to listener and then in vMix or VLC open the URL SRT. My final guess is BirdDog server. Wait. How is that any different than the one you just gave me? That's the same one. As before. I could certainly try SRT. Haven't had a ton of luck with that either, but we can certainly try. So let's set it up here first. So this is SRT camera IP, and then whatever the port number is going to be. So let's go. You set your cameras to listener. Is that what you said? So here, we want to go to AV setup. Want to go to SRT. Yoink. Okay, 5556. You said cameras are set to listener. Yoink. And then no encryption. Now we're going to restart the NDI chip. 5556. / We may not be up yet, so we'll just wait. Oh, got something. All right. So we've got something in the SRT stream. 5556. Encryption off. All right, so this leads me to believe that I have some sort of firewall issue going on here, which I don't know how because my firewall is supposed to be off. Oh, which it's not. That's cool. Thanks, Windows. Thanks for nothing. Thanks for mutton. All right, so if I turn off the firewalls, and then we're going to go start and stop this stream. Try opening port 1935 on your network. Okay, I could do that too. Should you like? Cool. Okay, jump over here. This computer's never been logged in. Oh, crap. I can't do it from here. Well, I will definitely try that. But I'm not using that port for SRT. I'm using 5556 for SRT, which I know is open. So, a little bit strange that that didn't. So this is the connection on SRT as listener. A little bit strange that it didn't pull anything. Sorry, let me go back here. Yeah, sorry about that, NetHab. So this is the SRT connection. Again, black screen, which is great, other than it's not showing the video, but there's something there. Now, if I restart the video or if maybe I should reboot this camera so that it's actually functioning. Hang on. The counter stopped at VLC when I hit reboot camera. Wonder if it'll error out or if it's just wait for it to come back. Interesting. Reload the web page, wait for that to come back. And then, come on. All right, there's the camera. Okay, it's reading back. I'm going to log into the web UI while I have it on my second screen here. There, the stream has now restarted inside VLC. And AV setup. So we'll go VLC here. Ugh. I need to talk to them about this screen thing. I don't like that at 50% it goes to the mobile version. Actually, at 60% it goes to the mobile version. It should be the other way around. It should be mobile version at like 40%. But you have to go like all the way out here just to get it to be full screen like this. I don't like that at all. All right, no passphrase. Encryption's off. Listener, SRT 5556. So this thinks that it sees it. Firewalls are off. And I have reconnected to the stream, but still no video. So what I'll do is let's try and add this inside. I'm going to try and add this inside now that I have that functioning as a caller. 192.168.1.252 port 5556. Latency passphrase, no encryption, and just add it as an input here in the. Okay, so this is interesting. So it's doing the same thing it's seeing there. So there's something up with the network, I guess. It's hard to say. That latency at 1,000 should be more like 10. All right, we can change that. Whoops, wrong screen. So the lowest it'll go is 80, evidently. So let's change the latency. Restart the chip. Should stop here. Yep, stopped. And restarted. So it's generating something, but it's definitely not seeing, or it's not able to show it for some reason. Man, it's so bizarre. So lessons learned is that the instructions for how to use these protocols need to be included on the web UI, as far as I'm concerned, because it's a new. If you just get in, you're like, okay, cool, I got all this, and then you're trying to link. It needs to tell you what the URL needs to be, and not just assume you know. Which is, for people who have been doing it for an age, that's all well and good. But as you can tell from our chat here today, everybody has their own guesses and methods, and so I think this is working. I just don't think I think there's got to be something wrong with my machine if that's the case, because it's definitely connected. It's been connected for a minute, and the HX stuff works no problem. So that's interesting. What does your bandwidth gauge say? If it still says 1%, the video isn't actually transmitting. My bandwidth on here? Well, again, I have nobody subscribed to these streams. So if I go here, Sil2 this, and then I got to change it. Not Sil2. I got to change this to full NDI. Boom, full NDI. Okay, so my network bandwidth is at 14% right now. So that's 140 megs out of 1,000, right? which would be a full NDI stream. But it seems to me that there is no actual video stream over the SRT if that's functioning at, what did we set that at? The bandwidth should be running somewhere in the ballpark of 18 megs a second. So yeah, there should be at least an extra, what is that? Well, 2 megs. I'm sorry, 2% on the NIC card, if that's actually working right. So what if I change the SRT to caller on the camera? There's the IP address, there's that, latency, that's fine. No encryption, stream ID 255. Okay, so let's close this. I'm going to go back to VLC. Let me throw this back up here so that you guys can see. All right, so I'm going to go back to VLC now. We're going to change the stream connection. Network stream. So SRT 5. How do I do a listener for this one? Same thing? It doesn't really look like there's much difference. Oh, it is connected. Interesting. What if I made a listener connection inside of vMix? Oh, maybe that has to do something with it. 5556. Stream ID is 255 or 225, sorry. Yoink. SRT on port 5556. Nothing. Here's what's frustrating is like there's no indication that vMix is actually working correctly. Like that's one of my gripes is that like it doesn't error out or anything. It just is like, okay, here you go. And it just gives you a black screen. It's really annoying. So again, nothing in VLC, which is a shame. Because it's still that same port that I know is open. Let's just make sure like Bird Dog Cloud isn't running or something silly like that. It's using that port. Doesn't appear to be. Could always change it just to try it out. Restart the chip. Media. Network. Let's just see what happens. Okay, so it's waiting for that to come back. Let's open up this. All right, I'm live again here. Oh, I'm sorry. I had changed this to caller. I want to change this back to listener. 5557 listener enabled. Yep. Okay. So restart now. VLC is having a hernia. Sort out what's going on here. What does the bandwidth say? That may be Frink on the other end pulling the full NDI. No, I'm pulling a full NDI stream. SRT, your own IP address, your port number, !mode equals listener. Click the colored signal bars at the bottom of the vMix to see the SRT stats and bandwidth usage. I need to Google what this SRT is that people are talking about. For me, it's a text file for subtitles. SRT is one of the standard video protocols that people use for transmitting video over the internet. It's really kind of taken off in recent years. SRT, blah, 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 blah. What did you say? Change it to listener mode. Let's just start this and see what happens. It should come up now because unless I need to reboot this stinking camera again, it seems to be having problems. All right, let's reboot it because I'm impatient. All right, we'll wait for that to come back. I'll let you know when that happens. And from here on, we'll go from there. Today's show is not brought to you by Ember Mugs, keeping your coffee hot and your creamer curdled. This is coffee courtesy of the one and only Monty from New Mexico. He is one of the Bird Dog guys, the VP of sales here in North America, in all of the Americas, I guess. So when he was visiting a week or so ago, he brought that through and left it at the office for us to try, which was super generous of him. So we've been enjoying that. Brayton read me the ingredients today and said, "There's like chili powder in this. Do you like it's too spicy for me?" And I thought, I don't taste chili powder at all. I taste like caramel. So I think either my taste buds are jacked up or the wrong coffee flavors in that bag because something's up. But anyways, and then in other news, for health reasons, this will probably be the last time I'll drink this sort of drink on the show, but we do have a Snacks on Stream here, which I'm just going to taste test. No guarantee I'm going to drink this whole thing, but we have a Pepsi Peeps. A good way to ruin Pepsi is by adding Peeps to it. So we're going to find out what that tastes like in a moment because, got to keep going with Snacks on Stream. So let's give that a go, and we'll be right back.
John's just making up stuff to start drama.
Look, I don't know.
Look at him.
Wish me luck, folks. It's my first Vegemite experience. Final, this is like cheese flavor or something. It doesn't really look too appetizing.
Good golly, this is something else, man.
Here's the thing about Pop Rocks, and I don't know if I'm the only one like this. Pop Rocks have always been a social experience for me.
I did not think that is what you were going to say. That's hilarious. That is awful. Oh, God, that's so bad. Jeez. Holy smokes, man.
Yep, Snacks on Stream. Still going on here strong on the Bird Dog live support channel. At least once a week. We try to go at least once a week. And today, Pepsi Peeps. Pretty sure this is not going to be my favorite, but we'll give it a go and see what happens. So, cheers. Now it smells like Pepsi, so that's good news. Oh gosh. Oh, no thanks. That's not good. I wasn't expecting Pepsi, but there's like a hint of Pepsi to start, and then it gets ruined with. It gets ruined. I think that's safe. That's a safe way to put it. Yikes. Yeah, not good. Not good. All right, let's jump back to our friends over here at where are we here? Our troubleshooting for VLC, trying to get the SRT stream to show up in VLC. So I've been unsuccessful so far, and I knew that this was probably going to be the case. I was going to be kind of stabbing in the dark, trying to figure out how to make this happen. So we have it all kind of set up here. We're going to log back into our camera. And there's a good chance that there's something on my network that's blocking these streams from traveling. But you should be able to view the SRT stream inside of VLC. And really what we're learning here is the instructions for all of these protocols need to be provided inside the actual web UI, how they intend for you to use them. And so using them, just what are the stream names? Like how do you do it? It would be great if they could live update so that if you fill in the port number, it would change on the, when it refreshes, it would change the port and say, okay, this is the stream path. And that way there would be a lot less confusion as to how to connect to it. But the VLC stream is running. You can see you can't see the timer. The timer is running inside VLC, so it thinks that it's connected, but obviously there's no video. So that's a problem. Now, the only other thing I was going to try is NetHab had put an option here. If I change this to caller, and then I go over here to network stream and say question mark. Question mark? Is that on purpose? mode equals listener, and then I hit play. Searching. We might need to restart the chip. Oh, nope, the counter is running. But there is no video. So that's mildly disappointing. But also, that's what we do here on the show, folks. I don't jerk you around. I try and discover it as I can. And if I can't figure it out, I accept the egg on my face, and I will be hounding the engineers to make this a little bit more simple for people to use, because I think there's a high level of assumption that people really know what's going on here and how to do all this stuff. And if you give people a feature, you're going to have to walk them through. Assume nobody knows. Make it blatantly obvious. So unfortunately, I can't get that to work in VLC. Now, I do know that the HX protocol works, and so not all is lost, because that is one of the first things that people have been asking for is, look, I don't have the ability to do this high bandwidth requirement on my network. And so you can switch it to HX. We can say, okay, but I can do 8 megs. I'm okay with a super long latency, but, I need to, HX would be good to have, or for my use case, whatever. Now, the latency on this thing is a fair bit. And that's Studio Monitor. That's the raw image. That's the full image too, the full bandwidth image. Curious if it's any different with low bandwidth on HX. I'm sure that looks terrible, by the way. So if we do a low bandwidth on HX, yeah, whoa. That's like almost a second and a half a delay. That's crazy. But anyways, that's Studio Monitor right next to a P200, that you're seeing in full NDI. And that is low bandwidth. Let's take a look at the video quality of this guy. So that's at full. Maybe what I should do is open these side by side with P200. Here's the moment of truth, folks. So I'm going to put this here, and then where'd that other one go? Right here. So P200 running on full NDI. So that's the HX feed from a PF120. Matter of fact, if we really want to go cray-cray, we can put the two cameras side by side, I guess, and see what the difference is. Oh, yeah, you can definitely see that, eh? Whoa, that's so bizarre. It's so crazy to me. And then the two, so full NDI bottom left-hand corner and full NDI right side of the screen. And then HX on the other side at medium. Like that's medium. That's 8 megs, Oh, there. Oh, drop frames. That's always fun. So let's change this to low. Yoink. Low. And we're going to restart that guy. All right, wait for me to come back now. And yoink. That should. Okay, we're back now. Whoa. Yoink. So low bandwidth, it's about the same. I mean, in terms of, whoa, it keeps freaking out though. I'm also, let's see what my CPU's up to. CPU's not too bad. I'm running 2 versions of Studio Monitor, but it's not too bad, but it's definitely not the same. That's for sure. That is for sure. Crazy. It's fun to have that option, It's fun to be able to see the differences. The HX version is not happy, that's for sure. If I close this, do those errors go away? Wonder. Low bandwidth, yeah, they go away. So I was looking at multiple streams out of the same, watching the full and the HX both in Studio Monitor at full value. It seemed to be prioritizing the full. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but you never know. Never know around here. Discovering it as you discover it, that's for sure. So let's jump over here. See if I've missed anything. Could the bitrate mode GOP size make a difference? Oh, absolutely. Will the silicone update come to any of the NDI encoders, more specifically HX? Why? Why would you want to compromise? I don't know, actually. I don't know if Silicone 2 is planned for the encoders or not. Encoder-decoder line, the converter line. I know NDI 5 is planned for the converter line, but I don't know about Silicone 2. Yeah, I just don't know. I haven't heard the official word on that, so I won't say yes or no. But I can't say. I honestly don't know. So All right. Let me think if there's anything else that I wanted to cover with you guys today. Of course, look, it's Tuesday. We're starting out the week and trying to get a handle on tickets and what have you. It's a really busy week this week. There's lots going on, and there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of meetings, and man, there's just so much happening. So we are accessible for sure over at help@birddog.tv. If you have a question about your NDI stuff, the products that you've purchased or whatever, workflow stuff, and you need to talk to somebody about that, help@birddog.tv is a place where you can open a ticket and you can chat with one of my agents, and they will try and help you as best they can. Now, there have been some weird things that have been like, I'm going to call them misunderstandings, but weird things that people have like assumed that we're implying. First of all, we have a handful of switches in this office that we know NDI works on really well, and we're happy to share those results with you if you are curious. We don't tell people they have to buy a specific switch. We had a customer was talking to one of our sales guys, and he contacted us and was like, "Hey, are you guys telling people that Bird Dog products don't work on anything other than 4250s?" We would never say that. That is never, ever, ever what we would say. What we do say is we know it works really well on this switch. So if you're having problems with your network and you want to know what switches to go with, we know that there are a handful of switches out in the wild that work really well. The 4250 is one of those lines, but we don't say it's a requirement. That's for sure. We also don't say that NDI doesn't work on static configurations, which is something that we get misquoted a lot on, which really is frustrating. We don't say it doesn't work on static. We say it's harder to do it on static. We didn't say it doesn't. We do say that it's harder, and that is way different than saying it doesn't work at all on static and saying that it is more difficult on static is two different things. You get to choose as the end user how you want to configure your NDI network. We're going to tell you how we know it works best. We're not going to tell you have to do it this way, but if you choose to go on your own, you are kind of taking some of your own results into your own hands. So you can't necessarily hold our feet over the fire if you decide, I'm going to configure this more in a more difficult way, and then I'm going to get mixed results. Okay, that's a choice that you made, and you get to live with the choice. That's fine. But if you want to go with a way that we know it works really consistently, we'll tell you. We'll tell you how we do it. You may not like the fact that it's not your ideal way of running something, but that's a trade-off. We'll tell you that, you can run it that way. You can run NDI on a static network. It does require Discovery Server, by the way. I'm pretty sure. And so that means you have to have a Windows 10 machine if you're going to run, or a Windows 11 machine or whatever. If you're going to run Discovery Server, you have to do that, or a VM or something like that on your NDI network. That's fine. But it's not easier, it's harder. And people just assume I'll just set everything to static and then nothing will change. Well, there are actually better ways in the networking world to do that. It requires you actually know some stuff about networks, and that gets people frustrated because it's like, well, I don't want to have to learn a whole other industry. It's like, well, you're doing video over IP, so you're going to probably want to know something about the industry. But again, a couple of things that we need to clarify. We don't require you to buy a 4250 in order to use our Bird Dog stuff. That's not a thing. All right. My agents don't say that. That's not something, and we're really sorry if it came across that way, but that is not what we intended. What we intend is there are switches out there that are native to NDI that actually work really well. If you don't want to budget for that, or you don't want to have a network that's NDI, like geared towards just NDI, we totally get that. But we don't know every switch on the market. So if you go out and you buy a fleet of Arubas, we can't really tell you what commands to put in to get this all working, because we don't run Aruba in this office. We don't run Aruba anywhere in the Bird Dog, offices, or maybe we should, but we don't. Same thing with Cisco. We don't run Cisco switches throughout the Bird Dog stuff. So if you're an all Cisco camp, great. You probably have some people that are Cisco certified already, which means that you're already ahead of what we're up to. So just know that when you are taking a video over IP camera and you tell us that you're using MikroTik switches, fantastic. we don't have microtik switches with us, so we don't know how to troubleshoot those. So we can tell you what works for us. We'll tell you what switches we use and how we troubleshoot them, but we can't be experts in everything. And so there is a little bit of give and take. Hopefully that comes across as you can definitely message us, email us at help@birddog.tv. We're happy to talk to you about best practices, about what we know works, about how it all kind of maps out. But again, we can only help you to the extent of our knowledge. We certainly don't want to make stuff up as we go along. And as I've said for the last 4.5 years, networks are as unique as the people that design them. So you can go with a bunch of different design protocols. You can go with a bunch of different patterns that you want to set your network out for. Maybe you're restricted in how your buildings are connected, and so you have to do spanning tree and you can't do star pattern, or maybe you have to do a certain protocol. Maybe it all has to be multicast. Maybe none of it can be multicast. Maybe you're restricted and you can only run UDP for some reason. I don't know. But we'll definitely come alongside you and talk to you about what it is that we know works and how we've seen successful installations. But there isn't just when you come to the help desk, it's not just this isn't working, fix it. It's how are you doing it? Give us some information. We'll tell you kind of what we know, and we can try and get it to work for you. So we don't require you to own certain switches. We do require you, according to the NDI guidelines, that it at least be a layer 2 managed switch. I mean, that's kind of base 101. If you're using unmanaged stuff, that is a whole other black hole of there could be 100 things wrong and you'd never know it because you can't even get into the switch to diagnose it because there's no interface. So if you're just straight up cheaping out on the network, okay, but you're probably going to get cheaping out results. So there, I did say that. We do need like some base minimum stuff. Managed, not smart managed, managed, and at least layer 2 with like hopefully a proper router. But you can do static. I still recommend a layer 2 of a static network. I already read that one. Sorry. I'm personally waiting for the SRT to come to the quad because 4x 12G SDI to SRT encoders for $2,000 would be a dream come true. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's. I'm trying to think back at conversations I've had. Obviously, this has been a huge push for the camera line to do all these things. So hopefully it's coming to those, but I don't know. I can't say for sure. Thanks for today's demo. I can't wait for a stable version of Silicon 2. Me too. And also some instructions. That would also be great. Every demo and show I do is on DHCP. Never an issue. 4 to 6. Hey, what's going on, Ian? This is Bird Dog Ian. 4 to 6 cameras, keyboards, and decoders. I don't have time for no discovery server. Well, the problem with it is that the people that you're showcasing it for are assuming static. I mean, that's really the issue, right? Is that they're going to assume this is all running on static. So unless you explicitly tell them, this is a DHCP run, layer 3 managed 4250 switch, and you're right, you don't really have time for making it harder on yourself. But that's all about how you sell the product and what have you. So good on you for running DHCP. I appreciate that. Keyboard works great on a DHCP server. I'll say it works a lot better on a DHCP server. Okay, it is 12:38, and so I need to get on with the day. Like I said, I missed part of the day yesterday, most of it actually, due to an issue I was having. So I had to play catch up here today, and I'm glad that I got on the show. I was able to do an hour and a half with you guys. We will definitely be exploring more of Silicon 2 as I learn more. I'll be able to show off more stuff. But yeah, it's out in beta right now. If you want to play around with it, see if it works for you, by all means, definitely check that out. It's on the website. Don't put it on a production camera because, yeah, those production cameras need to do their job. And so don't poke the bear. But if you have a camera that is not a production camera and you're able to play around with it and beta test it, like the point is to test it. It's a beta function. So see how it works. Go from there. And then certainly bring your findings back here, but feel free to also email us your findings so we can send it on to engineering. So I'm back just in time for you to wrap up. Yep. That's how that goes. I'm going to have to going to have to get on with the rest of my day, I guess. So, all that to say, take care of yourselves out there, folks. It has been a fun show to be with you and to kind of dig a little bit through this beta firmware. I put mine on a PF120. You're certainly welcome to try it on other cameras. You need to be running the latest firmware for the camera before you update to the Silicone 2 update. So be sure that you're running the latest on the website before you go to Silicone 2, the beta, and then you have a chance to check that out. Anyways, in the meantime, take care of yourselves. We're really excited about the future here at BirdDog. There's lots to talk about and lots to kind of go over, and so looking forward to navigating some of that with you in the next few weeks. Take care of yourselves out there. Take care of each other. There's a big need for that, and so be well, and we will see you in a couple of days. Bring your NDI questions back on Thursday at 11 Eastern Time here in the U.S., and we'd be happy to navigate those with you. Should be great. We'll have a good couple of days, and we'll see you in a couple of days at 11 o'clock on Thursday. And yeah, we'll pick it up again then. So cheers, guys. Have a great afternoon. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
This is magnificent.
Oh yeah, ooh, that's how it always starts. But then later there's running and screaming.